only 7-day-a-week sports show in the DMV. From DC News Now, this is Game Night.
Welcome into Game Night, a special edition of Game Night from Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. The Washington Commanders back in the win column, 41-24 over the Raiders, Jake Rom.
Yeah, complete team win today here at Northwest Stadium for this team. A bounce-back win for them after what it was looking like a week or so ago on Thursday Night Football up in Green Bay. It was good to get back in the win column, 2-0 to start at home this season.
And it seemed like no Jaden Daniels, and surprisingly, no problem. Backup quarterback Marcus Mariota getting the start, QB2, no problem, as Jaden Daniels, QB1, not in action today with a knee injury. Marcus Mariota showing what he's got in the first quarter. Early on, no score, tumbles into the end zone. Commanders on the board first with a 7-0 lead, Jake.
Might be the backup, but you can't take the running out of Marcus Mariota. He's done this entire career. Looked like a kind of a design play, gets into the end zone to start this game, and we go into the second quarter. Tie game right now at this point, and a big pivotal moment right here. Jeremy McNichols showing off the bully of a run. He had 60 yards, and he gets to the end zone. Touchdown.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this, not to drag Brian Robinson here, but we've now seen Bill and Jeremy McNichols have longer runs than B-Rob ever had. And check this out. McNichols just one defender, 2, 3, 4, broke another tackle down the way, breaking 5 tackles on that play to get all the way into the end zone.
It's not quitting.
I mean, this Commanders running back room just incredible, and you'll see Pete Carroll here. I think he can't believe what he saw.
Well, he had something a little bit when he was in Seattle, the Beastquake. It was kind of similar.
Yeah, so then we have a punt here with the Commanders up 20-10 in the third quarter. Jalen Lane going to take it back at the 10, and he's going to make some magic happen here. This is the first punt return for a touchdown for this Commanders team since 2016 when Jamison Crowder did it in Week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens. Commanders take a 27-10 lead there. First career touchdown for the rookie.
Yeah, everyone thinking maybe Jalen Lane would show off with the wide receiver core, maybe get his first touchdown there, but just making an incredible, I mean, there's some Raiders back there picking up their cleats because they just couldn't bring down Jalen Lane, and it's just good to see the special teams getting the job done today for this team. And it looked like this game was out of reach. It kind of was, and we finally get to see 17 get on the board. Your double move. Alex, was he in the end zone?
Yes,
I mean, it
yes,
looked like
he was
in the end zone.
Jake,
there to me.
That was a touchdown. I said it after the replay. I don't know what had happened, but this was a pretty good route, too.
Absolutely, yeah. The double move kind of gets the defensive back to kind of turn his hips right there, and it's enough for a guy like Terry McLaurin. When he's in these situations, the quarterback, whoever it is, Mariota, Jaden, you got to find 17. He's the best 50-50 ball guy. He's the best wide open receiver guy on this team, too.
Yeah, we'll get into it later. He did leave the game with a quad injury. We'll find out what the deal is with that as other injuries piling up, but good to see Terry get involved and have a big Terry McLaurin-esque play. That probably should have been a touchdown. And guess who scored the touchdown, Jake? Our good friend Bill Krosky Merritt. I got to tweet the little Bill gif today as well, his namesake for that nickname, in the end zone for the second time this season.
Yeah, it's good to see 3 rushing touchdowns from 3 different runners. You throw Mariota in there with Jeremy McNichols as well as Bill, and this team is humming. 41-24. There's the owner, Josh Harris. Everyone excited, everyone pumped about this win.
So the Commanders improved to 2-1 with that 41-24 win over the Raiders, and Marcus Mariota in place of Jaden Daniels today. Pretty solid outing for him, 15 of 21, 207 yards and a touchdown, adding on 6 carries for 40 yards and a rushing touchdown as well. The Commanders bouncing back from that loss in Green Bay, dealing with the injury to Jaden Daniels and many other players to pick up a big win over the Raiders.
When you have a loss that you don't like and you got to sit in it, and like, man, this game could not get here quick enough. But I wasn't surprised by their resilience either.
It's just the resiliency of just the reality that we set, and that next man up mentality, but also that brotherhood we set too, where, whoever we're plugging in for whatever reason, that we have a standard we live up to.
You never know when your number's going to get called, and so, we had to, shuffle some things around in the tight end room, and, we're running with 6 O-linemen out there, and some new faces up front, and, it's just fun. And so, I can truly say that everyone's prepared, since OTAs and training camp.
Shout out to the guys who stepped up, the whole team, man. We got trust in everybody in this locker room, so that's all that matters. And then when they step in, they go out do their thing. That's all you can ask for.
Well, we mentioned the Commanders getting this win, but at what cost? Injuries piling up in this one. Take a look. Will Harris leaving the game with an ankle injury. Terry McLaurin on that big play that should have been a touchdown, leaving the game with a quad injury, Marshawn Lattimore a concussion, and rookie Trey Amos a calf injury, Alex. So just a bunch of things not going in the right way when it comes to the injury department and staying healthy with this team moving forward.
There were also injuries coming into this game. We knew Dietrich Wise and Austin Eckler out for the season. The big one, Jaden Daniels not playing today. But the Commanders, considering the circumstances of that, I think you could not be happier with how they performed from the top to the bottom and all three facets of the game.
Yeah, it just feels like the players that were out, other players coming in, stepping up in their absence and having good games. I mean, let's talk about just the offensive line a little bit. I mean, they're shooken up. There's players in and out, whether it's for injury or for other reasons. And other people stepped up. I feel like we didn't hear Max Crosby's name until the fourth quarter for the Raiders, which is a shocking thing when you talk about it. And then you think of the secondary, and guys were out. Will Harris being the big one from today. You got a guy like Jeremy Reeves stepping up, a guy that's been in that scenario a bunch of times, has fought to make it onto teams, knowing that any moment in time, your name and number can be called to step up in the absence of others. And that's just kind of feel like the mantra of this team, that no matter who's out there on this 53-man roster, they're going to get the job done.
And we know how much Jaden Daniels won games last year. You knew that coming into today, it was going to have to be a group effort. Everyone was going to have to step up. And like we're saying, that's just what happened. Every single running back was stepping up. The wide receivers, Luke McCaffrey, I know it was late, kind of garbage time, but he scored a touchdown. And I want to talk about that pass rush, too. It's been kind of quiet these first 2 weeks, but we saw Von Miller get back there. We saw Dorrance Armstrong get back there. We saw Javonte Jean-Baptiste get a sack. We saw Bobby Wagner get back there having pressure. So I think in every aspect, this team did well. And they also wanted to play for their head coach. And we want to show you what happened here with Dan Quinn just before halftime.
Mariota's going to keep, but if he doesn't get out of bounds, he will with 4 seconds showing. That's Dan Quinn in the middle of that.
Oh, Dan Quinn bleeding at the nose.
Mariota knew he had to get out and a quick hit
there, and bam, head coach gets smashed on the ground.
Yeah, I'm okay. Everything's good. Just going to be this kind of day where it's physical game, back and forth, and that's what we expected coming in. We know Pete and their crew is going to be tough.
I was gonna say he's a bad mother. No, but yeah. So yeah, no, yeah, you can bleep it out. No, man, but no, he's a truly like he's a fighter. He's gritty as, and that's the mentality that we have too. You know, as players playing for him, and he took a shot, and you know, we ball. So you know, I don't really care about that. You know, like as in the interview, like with the swearing, bro. Like he took a shot.
Came up and you know he's giving the O-line fist pounds after that, after coming out of halftime and everything, and so we're just like let's go. You know what I mean? Like definitely getting the guys fired up for sure.
He's a true dog. Like I said, the moment he went down, he popped up. You know what I mean? So. You know, he was a little bit doozy, but I'm like, man, knowing him, man, he's going to fight it through.
He's a dog, man. I mean, that's our leader, so that says a lot right there. The way he moves is how we move.
You got your coach landing on the line, right? He's hurting. He gets drilled on the sideline, right? But he gets back up. He's right back to it. Says a lot about the man, right? So that's important to the group. The group sees that, right? Now it's like, okay, our leader is out there doing this. Let's go.
There you have it. I mean, that right there just kind of shows it's a microcosm of this team. They're willing to fight for one another. They're willing to fight for their coach. I think every single person on the sideline was over there making sure that their head coach, their lead commander of this team, was okay. And I feel like it lit the spark for the rest of this game.
I like what Tyler Biotish had to say. Once I told him that he was allowed to curse and we had the capability of bleeping it, he didn't hold back. But no, I think you're right. It really shows that this team, when things go badly, they know how to rally and they know how to win and they know how to do what needs to get done. It reminded me a lot of last year. It reminded me how these guys want to play for Dan Quinn. They want to play for this coaching staff. It doesn't matter if it's Jaden Daniels or it doesn't matter if it's the 5th string running back. Everybody's going to go out on this field playing for the vision of what Dan Quinn has here. And I think that's a special thing that this team has with that head coach.
Yeah, and you have a former football player and Dan Quinn. I feel like if they should have had a side-by-side of when he used to play ball back in the day compared to what he had on his nose after that collision with his quarterback. I mean, the guy is a dog. A BMF was the other word. Not going to tell you what that acronym means. You can kind of put two together, but it just kind of, it goes back to the fact that we talked about people rallying in the absence of others, but people rallying behind everybody on this team, and Dan Quinn was, main focal point in that moment.
And And we're certainly glad Dan Quinn seems to be okay
Yes.
after that, as well as he coached the rest of the game and spoke to us after the game as well. Well, we'll be right back with a lot more here at Northwest Stadium. Lake Lewis Jr. joins Tiger Munn to talk more about what we saw from this team today.
All right, welcome back into Game Night. With me, I have a Lake Lewis Jr. NFL insider and analysis. Lake, just what are some things you liked and didn't like from this game? You know, it was a blowout, but always can take away some things in a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, they still at times are shooting themselves in the foot, talking about the Commanders, of course. And, you know, I think this was a game, although they scored 41 points, they probably could have put 50 or 60 points on the Raiders. The Raiders were a bad football team. The good thing is that they did what they were supposed to do. They beat a team that they were supposed to beat, and they did it with their backup quarterback. We can't forget that Marcus Mariota was in there and not Jaden Daniels.
Right, and, you know, looking at Mariota, he had some great plays today. He also had some bad plays today, but overall, would you say this was a good performance from Mariota?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was an incredible performance, and I also think, you know, he came in and he gave them a level of calmness. You know, he did have the fumble early in the game, but he was already making a great play. Unfortunately, he has to hold onto the ball there. But yeah, I mean, you saw him being a veteran, and it also shows this team, similar to last year, that when you put him in the game, you don't miss a beat. Obviously, Jaden is a special player, but Marcus, you know, he doesn't need to, you know, have anyone feel bad for him. He has a Heisman Trophy as well, and he also was the number 2 pick in the draft at one point in his career. So yeah, he showed that he can pick up where Jaden leaves off.
And another thing about this game was there were a lot of injuries, but when you're looking at their schedule and moving forward from this, how good is this game, and at the same time, how bad is it having so many injuries and so many mess-ups during it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say as far as the injuries, I mean, fortunately, I think some of these guys are going to be okay. I know Trey Amos, they, you know, pulled him out the game and said it was a calf injury, but he looked fine. We talked to him in the locker room, he looks fine. I think that was more precautionary. They were winning by 20 at that point. No need to have a guy out there if you can rest him up and start resting him a little bit early. So I think they're going to be fine. I think, you know, you saw the depth of this team finally show itself. They hadn't really done that in the first 2 games. So you saw guys coming in. At one point, their secondary had 4 backups in there, and they still were doing okay. Naturally, they gave up some big plays today, but I think a lot of those things can be corrected.
And one player that didn't have a lot of big plays today for the Raiders was Max Crosby, one of the best defensive players individually in the league, and he almost was a no-show in this game. I don't think I heard his name until the later quarters, so how impressive is that about the O-line?
Yeah, I think Josh Connolly, obviously the rookie's the guy that everyone talks about, oh, he's not playing well, and I'm like, you have to understand, his first 3 starts in the NFL against 3 all-pro edge rushers, I think he did really well today. And also, John Bates wasn't playing today, and he's the best blocking tight end in the NFL, so he wasn't able to be able to chip and help out. So there were times that individually Josh Connolly held up Max Crosby. So Max Crosby did have a fumble recovery earlier in the game, so he did make his presence felt, and he had a couple big hits, but didn't have that Max Crosby type of disruptive, you know, just totally detonating an offensive line. He didn't have that today.
And, you know, the offensive line for the Commanders has been scrutinized to begin the season. Jaden Daniels has been one of the most hit quarterbacks in the league. They come into this game, and Mariota pretty much has a clean pocket for most of the game. Looking forward, and, you know, this O-line has guys injured too. Looking forward, how encouraging is that if you're Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn seeing the performance they put on today?
Well, not only was it encouraging because they had 2 new starters in the lineup. Andrew Wiley came in as a starting right guard, and Chris Paul came in as a starting left guard. So when you see that, you know, Brandon Coleman's the normal starter. We were told today that he was inactive, but it wasn't, you know, from an injury. It was a coaching decision, so there may be another layer to that story. But Chris Paul came in and played well. Andrew Wiley played well. And it's only going to get better because in 2 weeks, I think we're probably going to get Big Sam Cosmi back. So you have to feel good if you're the Commanders because you controlled the trenches on both sides of the ball. And that's what they're going to need if they're going to compete against the Philadelphia Eagles and teams like that.
And finally, Lake, just if you had to grade this performance from the Commanders, what kind of grade would you give it?
I'd give them a solid B. Obviously, there's some things they have to clean up, especially on defense. You know, and they still have the penalties that are kind of creeping up here. Last year, they were one of the least penalized teams. This year, they're one of the most penalized teams. You can get away with that when you play bad football teams. They did that against the Giants, got away with it. They didn't get away with it against the Packers. They got away with it today. So we'll see how they can clean that up. But all those things are coachable things. That's good from a talent standpoint. This is a good football team, and they're doing what they're supposed to. Like I mentioned earlier, you beat teams you're supposed to, and you don't beat them, you beat them down, and that's what they did today.
All right, let's look at the next 5 games for this Commanders team. 4 of 5 on the road will certainly be a challenge there. They'll wrap things up in September at the Falcons next week. Following that up with a West Coast trip out to face the Chargers. Monday Night Football at home against the Bears. We know what happened last time these two teams met at Northwest Stadium. They'll go to Dallas to play the Cowboys on October 19th, and then Monday Night Football at Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Hopefully Jaden back in the lineup by then. That could be a fun match.
Yeah, this is a big 5-game stretch for this team. We know what's coming at the end of this season. It's very key that they come out above 500 in these next 5 games.
Well, we'll see what happens with that, but we got a lot more on the show for you. Coming up, we'll go inside the locker room one-on-one with Antonio Hamilton Sr. All that and more coming up next.
Welcome back into game night out here at Northwest Stadium. Alex, we went into the locker room after the game post-game, and we spoke to a guy just getting elevated to the 53-man roster. He's been on this team all season, Antonio Hamilton.
All right, Antonio, getting elevated to the main roster and getting a chance to play today against the team you started your career with. What was that experience like?
It was very cool, man. It's humbling and also, a very grateful position just to see how far you can come. And actually get those opportunities to play against your former team is always a good win, especially when you win.
During training camp in the preseason, multiple times I've heard Dan Quinn mention your name in press conferences as someone that stood out in the secondary. What do you think you've done to impress this staff, and how grateful are you to be a part of this organization and be coached by this staff?
Yeah, man, I'm extremely thankful, man. God has blessed me and keep allowing me to, continue my career. And they see it just how smart I am. I came in not knowing anything about this defense, but I can pick up on it really, really fast. This is my 10th year, and in my 10 years, I think I've had 8 different defensive coordinators. So I understand football really, really well. So it's just terminologies that you have to pick up on, when you go from team to team or from coach to coach. And so it was one of those things where I had kind of been in like a similar system. So I just had to get the hooked on phonics type of thing down. And after that, it's just playing ball, something that I've been doing for years.
Were you on the field for that Jalen Lane punt return?
Yes.
So tell me what went into that play and what he was able to do there.
Yeah, so Jalen had been feeling it. If you look at the previous games, he's been getting the ball, catching it clean, and seeing his cuts. And so we knew, hey, we can just give him a second of a time and let him find the right hole, and he did it. And, that's an extension of the offense. So, we continue to do that. We'll continue to win games.
All right, let's talk more about the backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, getting his first start of the season and with the Washington Commanders. Stepped in a few times last year for Jaden Daniels, but not starting. Having a solid performance today in the 41-24 win for this team. Mariota speaking after the game about his performance in the win against Las Vegas.
Belief is so powerful, and those guys from Monday were just, hey, you got this. And I think that instilled confidence in me to just go out there and just kind of play my game. But it was cool to see kind of all 3 phases come together, and it's a great stepping stone for us as we move forward in the season.
All right, coming up on the show, Tiger Munn joining the show once again as he spoke to fans before the game about the excitement surrounding the Commanders.
Welcome back into game night. We are out here at Northwest Stadium as the Commanders take down the Raiders by a score of 41-24. The fans were as loud as you can imagine here at Northwest Stadium, and we caught up with them before the game to get a check of the temperature walking into the stadium.
Let me tell you something. The atmosphere here is electrifying. We know that JD isn't starting, but that's not stopping anyone from this area from rooting on Mariota, because we know it's not about one player, it's about the team. And if you know it like I know, I see the Commanders coming out 2-1. Remember, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all.
I feel pretty good about the game right now. And everybody was kind of bummed out because we lost to Green Bay. But like we did Tampa Bay, we came back and whooped them in the playoffs. So we're going to whoop them. We'll see Green Bay. We got one coming to y'all.
Oh, man. So, me and my moms, we've been coming to the games for like 7 years now, season ticket holders. We've been here through the good, bad, ugly, sad. So it's nice to see the team finally winning. That's what brought us out here today. Sad that JD5 is out, but Marcus going to do his thing. Let's go Commanders. Man, it's hard to say because Marcus, you know what I'm saying, he might use his legs today, he might throw today. I don't know if he's going to go Debo's way, Terry's way, but if everything go my way, then Terry going to have at least 2, Debo going to have 1, and we going to beat them Raiders regardless of what happened. You hear me?
And the Commanders did not let those fans leave empty-handed, getting the big win here at home.
And Jake, I got to say it's a good time to be a Commanders fan. You know, we're reporters here. I'm a reporter here. I cover the team, but it's no secret, I've said it on the show many times, that I grew up watching this team. And I have to say, right now, I looked down as we were walking out of the press box. You kind of see people walking out of the stadium. I thought back to all the times me and so many people I know walked out of the stadium very upset because the team was bad and dysfunctional and they were losing and there wasn't much to cheer about. And it's nice that these fans can go home tonight and know that they have an NFL team that is a Super Bowl contender. And I know we saw what happened against the Packers, but there's a bright future for this team. They're building things the right way from the top. Josh Harris, Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, all the way to Jaden Daniels and the rest of this roster and coaching staff. So let me just put it this way. I think it's a good time to be a Commanders fan, and I'm very happy for the fans in this D.C. area.
It's good to see a smile on your face when it comes to football here. And the fans here in this area, I've seen a lot of wins the last 2 years. Only 1 loss here at Northwest Stadium since Jaden Daniels has walked in the door. But that's going to be enough for us tonight here at Northwest Stadium. For Tiger Munn, that's Alex Flum. I'm Jake Rom. We leave you with the calls of the night.
Chris Moore in motion, straight ahead run. And tough yard still on his feet. Jeremy McNichols. I don't think they're going to get him. And he is in for the Washington touchdown.
And you've got Roberts, and watch him break both of these tackles. Really good at the point. Bam, there's Chin. Bam, there's Roberts. And Roberts actually knocks